Is there any visitors and correspondents that would like to address the board? Okay, you're welcome to come up and address the board, and we usually give you 5 minutes if you could state your name and address. And,
Oh, my address?
well, you can just say your name if you'd like.
My name is Meg Sutherland. My address is 1318 Coventry here in Washington. I have 3 children in this area. I guess it's all different districts. So I have a junior here at the high school, an 8th grader at WMS, and a 6th grader at WMS. And I am currently the secretary of the Washington Lacrosse Club Board. And I'm the representative here tonight. And I lucked out because I think the last time one of us came, it was a much rougher crowd. So I got off easy coming tonight for just a few minutes. And I'm just here to say thank you for the discussion that continued on at July's meeting. That meeting, I believe, was on a Monday the 10th or something like that. And then we met with Dr. Freeman and the athletic director later on that week to continue on with some conversation, and we kind of got some things rolling, but ultimately we can work with those two as much, and we will, as possible, but it's you all that are going to make the final decision, so we always want to make sure we're in contact with you and that all the correct information is lying in everyone's hands. So we are continuing to build the program at the youth level on up. This year, we're trying to get into the PE programs in D50, D51, and D52 schools, just to continue. The current older players have been playing for around 5 years, and the younger ones are starting to pick it up, but ultimately they want to play it in high school and play for their schools. So, you know, if we can keep those numbers strong, and if it can be played at the high school, that would be great. So just wanted to say thanks, and that you're going to still see us a lot, sorry. But we do want to, we'll continue to invite you to come see different activities that we have going on so that you're aware of what it is and the numbers and the need for it in our community. Thank you.
We appreciate you with the follow-up on that, and we have followed up with some of your tournaments that you've had in town, and
Okay.
we have quite a few good numbers coming to that. So
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other visitors that would like to address the board? Okay, moving on to reports, number 5.
Karen is not able to make it tonight. She has a daughter moving to college tomorrow. So they're trying to get things packed up, and she'll be moving her over that way tomorrow as well. So I am your report person. I'll start with the summer school report. You have a copy of it in your board packet. Have any questions? Let me know. And if I can't answer them, I will relay them to Karen and get you an answer.
A comment. First of all, the dropout rate was very low. So it achieved its goal in helping these students, whatever their purpose was. Some may have been remedial, some introductory to the high school. And the other thing I noted, it looked like the program paid for itself.
But it usually does. We're usually pretty good on that.
So with our budget, questionable about where we're going, that's nice that evened out.
Any other questions or comments? Okay.
The teacher orientation. We had a good attendance at the new teacher orientation, and a large number of teachers there. We, as you know, have hired a few staff members this year. And it was a good opportunity for us to get to know them, for them to get to know us, to talk about the system, to kind of walk them through some of the things they'll need. They were given training on Skyward. Old habits die hard. I apologize. Skyward, they were given training on how to utilize our network, email, all the things that they need to know to move forward. So it was a great day, and we're glad we're able to do it again.
Moving on to 5.3, August 14th was today.
Today was the Teachers Institute, so we had them all here. Mrs. Ward kicked off the conversation this morning, did a fine job. We then started moving into the second year of our professional development plan. We did have a good showing from the board. We had Mrs. Knopfsinger, Mr. Fisher, obviously Mrs. Ward, and Mrs. McNatt all present. So it was nice to have a good amount of board members there to kind of show our support for the teachers. People seemed pretty excited. I think the reviews I got were good. So it was well received. We do a lot during this day. We do mandated trainings. You know, there are a lot of schools who've gone to kind of the computerized version. We still provide actual mandated training. So we'll walk them through what they need to know and just kind of talk them through it. It's a one-stop shop. We have our conversations and then we kind of rotate groups. So all in all, great day.
It was pretty exciting to see everybody ready to get back to school today, so that was kind of nice. And now they get to really come with the kids tomorrow, so, okay.
And we, 4 of us stayed too. You were there through part of one.
Yeah.
So I know you had something else you
Yeah.
had to go to for your son.
Yeah,
But stayed for the professional development section, which was very informative. And especially since 2 of us were from the curriculum committee, it ties right into the curriculum committee, so kind of got a leg up by staying and seeing the presentation.
good. Any other comments or questions?
It was very well done, very, very well done. I was impressed, especially going outside the box and intermingling different departments together. I think that's really important. Great.
Any other comments? Okay, moving on to 5.5, financial report. Joe? Oh, we missed something? Oh, I'm sorry. 5.4, substitute teacher workshop.
I'll make it quick and painless. You've heard about the teacher shortage. Where we're really feeling it right now is in the world of substitute teaching. We continue to try to get the word out. We're trying to advertise. We're trying to get more subs that can come in and work for us, but those numbers are dwindling fast. One of the things we do is we put on a workshop every other year where we bring them in and talk through. I thought we had a pretty nice turnout. I bet we had 20 people in the room. You know, some subs that surprised me, some that did not. It was a good opportunity for them to come. We offer an activity pass for those who participate. So we do get a pretty good turnout, and hopefully we get some new subs out of it and we're able to deal with the issues that come up in schools every year. You know, you get the cold and flu season, it doesn't just hit the students, so.
And I don't think substitute teaching shortage is unique to our district either.
No,
I think it's
absolutely.
other districts have that.
We have, with the things that people are seeing with the teacher shortage, there's some districts that are really feeling the stress and strain. We've been pretty blessed. That's the one area we are starting to feel it though.
Moving on to 5.5, now financial reports. Joe Sander, please.
Okay, in your packet this month, I just want to remind the board, I don't include the budget to actual expenditure and revenue reports and the financial status report until we get a finalized budget. It wouldn't do us very good right now because we don't know what the state's going to give us in the line of revenue and general state aid. And our Title I, Title II grants, that's still in a state of flux. So we have our budget done. It is just sitting with those numbers from the previous month that I just carried over what we had received last year from the state sources until we get a little bit better idea. But you've got the,
still seem plausible based on what churn you're seeing there.
we're hoping there's been a lot of email traffic, Twitter traffic, with people reaching out to their representatives to contact them to say, hey, the House has got to pass or override the veto so that they can get something in place. One of the pieces that Brent Clark put out, this has not been part of Illinois schools that we have not received the start of year money since the Great Depression. And so we're going back 80 plus years we are in this situation. So, as Dennis Trigg said at a meeting over the summer, it's going to take a grassroots effort. It really is. It's going to take a grassroots effort for everyone to reach out to their representative. I know Dr. Freeman was on the phone with Keith Summer, our representative, just right before our meeting. And they all know why we're calling. They just need to get it done.
And they'll be voting on that Wednesday, correct?
I believe so.
Normally, we would get the money by when?
We would have received our first general state aid payment by now. We did get some good news. We did receive at the end of last week a payment on last year's third quarter mandated categorical payments. And so we received about $150,000 in that. So, hey, we'll take it. We're in the same boat as everyone else, and we'll get through this once the state figures out how they're going to fund schools this year.
Any other questions for Joe or comments? Thank you, Joe.
I'll take the next
Oh,
one.
go ahead.
I included a whole bunch of information in regards to our summer maintenance list. Our guys were incredibly busy. We had a fantastic group of student helpers this year. It was very effective. They got 90% of all the stuff done. There's a lot of things that are still ongoing, but on this first day of school, teachers come back, staff come back. We're still moving desks around and some boxes in and out of places and trying to get some whiteboards hung. But I think that the school district is in a really good position to start off the school year to accommodate our growing enrollment. The changes that we've made all behind us after the board meeting. Poke your head upstairs, downstairs. That's where our math lab is on this side and peer tutoring is on this side and study hall is right below it. Combine that with our library where we're at right now. We've got a lot of great centralized resources to be able to help each other out. If we have peer tutors in the peer tutoring lab and our math lab gets a run on kids, you can just pop right next door and say, hey, do we have any, Algebra 2, calculus students or, a peer tutor that could come on over and help. So it really has done a great job. That's just one aspect of it. All the other maintenance stuff, the new roof on the garage by the maintenance shed is new. We built a sensory room, a plethora of other changes, big changes, moving the sewing lab, which required a whole bunch of electrical work. So our maintenance guys get an A+ on the job that they did. And so we're ready to go, I think. Right, Beth? We're ready to go. And our doors are gonna be open and the school looks great. And, the parking lot is a nice addition. I don't know if you've been out there and driven through that. Cullinan did a great job, so.
I've had several people from the community even comment about how nice it is to have that the way it does versus what it was. It's pretty bad.
It's an improvement, and
Yeah.
it just makes the grounds look better, and we're gonna service the people that may utilize it if there's overflow at 5 Points and vice versa. And so we've got the student lots over at 5 Points ready to go, and it'll be exciting tomorrow.
Yes, I think that the people that drive through it, both they and their cars will appreciate the new line.
Kind of speaking, so any discussion, as I saw the notification, we're gonna do a sidewalk, and some actual timing, you're gonna start
Well,
now, is it kind of?
I sat in on
Planning on that or for that, or?
They had a meeting at the city, and they invited me, it was a pre-construction meeting to sit in. We had a good conversation. My understanding coming out of that meeting is they're going to do work on this end after September. So they're gonna try to get through the meat of the football season before they start. Because most of it is sidewalks. There's a little stretch of about 100 feet from the stop sign at Bondurant towards Wellmore that they're going to have to grind out and resurface. But it's MCP that's doing it. They do interstates. That's not a long-term job, 100 feet for them. So the expectation is, they put good parameters around it from the city. They're not supposed to be out there working during pickup and drop-off times, so they can work during the day. So hopefully the work they do has very little impact on what we do. And I gave them some dates they might want to avoid, little things like, I don't know, homecoming.
Yeah.
You might not want to be on Jefferson Street messing with the street during the one parade in town, that's not a good idea. So.
They're pretty receptive and open.
They were very good. The city was very helpful. So we'll work with them, we'll figure it out. Mostly what they're looking at are handicap ramps, making them ADA compliant. So that's the mainstay.
If it's the same group that's did the sidewalk along Kruger Road over the weekend, they did it really quick. I mean, they worked all weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I think it's done. The last time I went by there, it was finished.
Well, it's the same group that did our parking lot.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so.
That's an unsummer meeting. Is there any other questions for Joe?
Keep up with those good plethoras that you're doing.
We're trying.
Okay.
Moving on to 5.7 would be board committee reports, and we've been trying to get bullet points of committee reports back to everyone right after they happen, so that we're prepared to discuss them in the meeting. And of course, we had two, facilities and policy. I was on the policy committee. Brad, Jennifer and I, and Dr. Freeman, we went back through some of the policies that we'll be voting on for the first reading here later in the Press Plus. And then we also confirmed up and went through with some changes in code of conduct and handbook. And so those are the items that we talked about at that meeting. And then facilities meeting.
Yeah,
Did you bring the notes back?
yeah, I can kind of, I hand
Okay.
those, but I think Freeman did a good job summarizing and sharing with everybody, but it kind of, I guess maybe 4 key things I had here was go. First of all, I went to the facility goals, so refresh there, a lot of good dialogue around that. I think we're going to talk maybe a little later tonight. With the summer project list, which included doing the parking lot from July 31st to August 7th, so I didn't think we'd get done that quick, but apparently we did. And actually, I think below bid, actually, I think from a cost perspective, it was pretty good, pretty solid to begin with, but I think it even was lower than anticipated, so they were work and finished on time, pretty impressive. So, and there's also some work over here, I think the teacher's lodge is a nice hole with the turnaround down there that got fixed along with some patching, some crack filling, I guess, to keep from some winter breakup, so that's good. Had good discussion around the current architect and the fact that I think it's 2 things. One is we're going to put it out for RFP for potential new architect, but also that that we're having a follow-up meeting with the LP, which we had today, so good discussion. And then just some of the key long-term projects, specifically around camera and features. So make sure we got good visibility to that, and we even added into facility finance planning.
You'll see a lot of pictures of the band getting tweeted out over the next month or 2. It's sizable.
We showed up a lot of ballparks, whatever.
Were you able to go to the?
Yeah, I was there. It was kind of fun. I wasn't an official Washington, so I heard people like
Right,
comment
the
about how humongous it
cheesecake,
was.
yeah. And I'm sure that helped because, that's 200 and some kids and a lot of their parents, so it was probably good for the
Yeah.
cheesecake.
Yeah, I heard people near me, behind me saying, that's about the size of our high school out there.
And it was our band, so I don't know that they needed to break them.
No, they did a good job.
Yeah.
It's fun.
They really, it's a strong one.
The other thing our band is doing that I thought was really neat this year was their, what did they call it, the 3,000, where they're gonna do
Project
3,000
3,000.
hours of community service. And I don't know if we pushed that out yet, but I think that's a really, really neat program that they're doing.
So totally they're doing
All the kids
All the kids.
combined are gonna, their goal is to get at least 3,000 hours of community service, which is, I think, a really great idea.
We're trying to envision that
rain day, you'll figure it out quickly.
Lots of photographs.
I think it's gonna look, if you've ever seen Animal House and the scene where the band runs into the alley, it might look a lot like that. Where, sorry.
Is,
An animal house.
is there any other committee reports that we should talk about, or any other things in the meetings?
I had a question. Do we have any kind of idea on what timeframe we might be looking at for the RFPs and the architects?
We haven't discussed any of that because the first thing we have to do is kind of get the RF, and it's actually an RFQ
Right.
for qualifications.
Okay.
So, that's one of the things that we'll have to determine, how we want to do it as a board, and then we can put some time frame to it after that, because you have two distinct things that are going to happen when you get to that.
Any other discussion? Okay. Moving on to number 6, discussion and informational items. Dr. Freeman, you want to?
We have several resignations there, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4. Lance has been a long time part-time custodian here. Loved having him around. He now has another job, and so that's where he's going to be. Kay Ernst was not able to continue on as the girls' tennis coach. Brian Medlin took a wrestling position at U of I. I don't understand that, but it's actually a great move for him. His passion is wrestling, and now he'll be able to do that. At that level, coming from our school, going straight to that level, that's awesome. That's very impressive. So, says a lot about him. Evelina Budziak, I think, took a teaching position, so she was excited about that as well. They're good reasons. Nothing there is a bad thing.
And then 6.5 is graduation date,
That's the graduation day.
Sunday, May 20th, so please put that in your calendar. And the seniors, I'm sure, already know that date.
Right.
If you don't know, ask a senior, they'll tell you.
And they'll tell you how many days away it is.
Right, yeah.
And they'll be asking me for as many snow days as we can fit in between here and there.
It's true.
But I've been real positive at promoting snow days over the past few years. I have a great reputation of never calling them, so that's not true. I keep telling them, it's not the case. We just need a real snow day before I'm gonna call it.
Well, last year we didn't have it.
No, we did not.
Now, is this the year that the graduating class will not fit on the stage at
I
5 points?
think this is the last year we'll be able to get them on the
It
stage.
will this spring if we need to put them there.
Yes, unless we have many transfer seniors who show up tonight or other nights, and I guess that could happen. But as of our original counts, we should be able to adjust fairly good.
Well, and with mid-year graduation, all those students don't come back to graduate, do they?
True.
6.6, committee calendars.
This is one that I wanted to bring up. Mrs. Ward and I were discussing committee dates and how to go about trying to unify this. And one of the things that she brought up, and I think it's an outstanding idea, is maybe scheduling a day a month for committee meetings. Now, we can put a schedule to those committee meetings so that it's not necessarily every committee, but if everybody were able to keep that date open, it would make life a little bit easier. When we have to have emergency meetings, we already have the date scheduled. What we'll try to do is stack them. The date we were thinking about was the date that we do the insurance committee, which Wednesday is that?
So it's the first Wednesday of the month.
So we're going to have committee meetings on the first Wednesday, and that would be a good thing, I think. So I'd like you to consider that option. Check your calendar, see if you think you could keep the first Wednesday of every month open if you can. I'd like to propose that we start just planning for the meetings then, and then we can start scheduling, because I know that the curriculum committee needs to meet. I know that the finance committee needs to meet. I've been asked a couple times, and I ask everybody, can we wait until we have our discussion at the board meeting? Because if this is the direction we're willing to go, then we would know the date of those meetings. So, Board, this is my question to you. What are your thoughts?
Is there anyone that wouldn't be able to make it like that? What the projection is to have, like, the first meeting would probably always be insurance, because that meets early on, right at 3 o'clock, and then stack them up.
Would you do them at the end of the day like that, or throughout the day? What's better for?
Well, it's possible, depending on availability. I know there are a few board members who can do it during the day. So if, let's say, we wanted to have a curriculum committee meeting at 2 o'clock and the whole committee were able to make it, we could start
So
it
just
before
kind of
or
depending
after,
on what
just
committees
depending
need
on,
to meet.
yeah, depending on people's schedules and when they're available.
It'd make it easier for myself, only because when I go through, Dr. Freeman's spending a lot of time trying to round up 3 of us for the committees to come, and if I,
Like make it easier for
Yeah.
Freeman too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We're right, exactly, so, any cons, or, pros or cons?
I like the
Like-
idea, and I like the date, because then it's right before we have our meeting.
Yes.
Because then be that following Monday.
Do we need another day as a backup day? Another day of the week that's basically open so we can follow up with any that we can't get worked in? Wednesday seems to be a good day for us, not hearing any.
I think if we can, and there's real potential for being able to start a little earlier in the day. So if we can get our first committee meeting in at 2, and then stack on a 3 o'clock and then a 4 o'clock, and we know that they're 1 hour, hour and a half meetings, we ought to be able to pull off most of the committees on that day. But if something, this doesn't mean that there won't be times that we have to have a meeting between. Because if we get into some projects, some things that we do, we may have to do some follow-up within a couple of weeks. But this might be a good start to just kind of unifying that timeframe.
So the first Wednesday is not too close to the board meeting? Because sometimes you want a committee meeting maybe a week or 2 earlier than that, so that the superintendent administration has time to queue something up that comes up at the board meeting for the board. I mean, because a lot of conference, a lot of committee work is essentially a first look for the board meeting. So if you have it that first Wednesday, does it give you enough time before the meeting itself? The board
There,
meeting?
for most of the committee work that we do, probably, I think there might be times where we look at you and say, okay, we'll get this together, but it won't be together for this, which would give us a second committee meeting prior to the board meeting anyway. Meaning, we might look at you and say, we need to push this a month out to give us time to work. So let's meet this Wednesday and then meet again the next first Wednesday, and then the board meeting's following, and we'd have a month in there to get things prepared. So I think if we're willing to go that route, I think that would take care of your question on the timing.
And you can always call a meeting anytime, like we're doing now, too,
Yes.
if it was needed.
So,
Just think about that and get back with Dr. Freeman, I guess.
or if you're okay with it, then we'll just plan on it. and
Try it. If it doesn't
Yeah,
work in 6 months.
we'll get a schedule together for the first Wednesday in September.
The only one we don't have input is from
And
Brad,
check with Brad.
and he'd have to be able to get over here too.
I can give Brad a call tomorrow. So
All right, if you could follow up with that, that'd be great.
we'll do.
Okay. Moving on to 6.7, textbook lists.
I wanted to provide this list to the board. We're going to start doing this every August. This is a current list by department of all the resources that we have listed that Ms. Roberts tracks. And I do want to point out that there you may find something that is an older text. We still have that, even though some of our texts they may not use every day, but they may use them as supplementary resources in the classroom. But in going through board policy, I discovered that we should be providing a list of all of our textbook resources to the board, so we're just going to start doing that in August.
Appreciate that, thank you.
That the textbook purchase list is so much less for the computers and programs there rather than the textbooks. I notice the grade schools are the same too. or they're relying on pulling programs off.
That is the case, and if anything, we've done more of a shift. We may still buy a classroom set that the teachers keep, a classroom set plus 10%. And so that the books may stay there, a student may be able to check them out. But, with the digital resources and having as many Chromebooks, that really has gone a long way in reducing the dependency on updating like science textbooks. That's a great example there. Science department has really scaled back the number of texts that they've purchased over, in my 5 years, 6 years now here.
There's a difference in expenditure.
Sure does. And the reality is a textbook is two textbooks, not two classroom sets, is about what we can get a Chromebook for.
Can the kids check out the Chromebooks if they don't have access to that? I mean, speaking of, since we have so many more things on there, do any of their kids take Chromebooks home? If they don't have a
I don't think
device
we've
at
had
home?
any students check out a Chromebook.
I mean,
to
is that a
take home.
possibility? If
Yes,
they're-
we do have the.
So we do okay, so they can take them home if they need to,
Some of the older Chromebooks as we're cycling.
which would be perfect. Okay.
So that you check them out like a library book?
Yep. However, I don't know that we'll see a lot of access to it, but it's available if they.
Right, which is, because not everybody's got.
Sure.
Is there any other, any other questions about textbooks? Moving on to other, is there any other subject anyone wanted to bring up that would fit under other? Okay, well, if there's nothing other, then we will move on to the consent agenda, which is number 7. The consent agenda is for the minutes of 7.11, the regular meeting minutes of July 10th, 2017. 7.12, board workshop minute meetings, July 18th, 2017. 7.13, facilities committee meeting minutes, July 26th, 2017. And then 7.14, policy committee meeting minutes, July 31st, 2017. And then executive session meeting minutes, 7.15, July 10th, 2017, and executive session meeting minutes, July 18th, 2017. Is there a motion? Oh, I can also do 7.12, bills, 7.2, and 7.3, approve overnight athletic trips 2017-18. Did anybody have any questions on any of those items or corrections to the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So, motion is second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
McNutt?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Essing?
Yes.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. Moving on to action items, number 8. 8.1 would be personnel. 8.11, employment of certified personnel. 8.11A, approve employment of Chris Nentz, math teacher. 8.11B, approve employment of Darlene Pegg, long-term sub for art. 8.11C, approve employment for Emily Becker, ELL tutor. Let's see, sorry here. Is there a motion to accept the employment of the certified personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion?
Real quick, as we mentioned, we've done a lot of hiring this summer. But I want to point out 8.1.1.C, which is Emily Becker, ELL tutor. We have a contract with her as needed. It's based on an hourly rate. Okay, because right now we don't have a lot of students that require those services. And those that do, we haven't even established how much they need. So this is set up to be flexible for both us and for
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Fisher?
Yes.
Essing?
Yes.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes. Motion carries, thank you. Moving on to 8.12, employment of non-certified personnel. 8.12A, approve Megan Brent, part-time student supervisor. 8.12B, approve employment of Carrie Lopez, secretary of the Township Special Education. 8.12C, approve employment of Christy Shelmany, special education aide. Is there a motion to accept the employment of the non-certified personnel?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second? Motion and second, discussion? Did you need to say anything about any of these?
If you have any questions, fire away. So,
Okay. If there's no further questions, roll call please.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Essing.
Yes.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. Moving on to 8.13, employment of extracurricular personnel. 8.13A, approve the employment of David Costello, girls head tennis coach. 8.13B, approve employment of Callie Talkerson. I'm sorry, my contacts are a little
Totally.
bit.
Yes, that's all right.
They're a little bit messed up right now. Girls swim dive coach, and approve employment, or 8.1.3C, approve employment of Kurt Whisker, assistant robotics coach. Is there a motion for the recommendation to approve the extracurricular personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion?
Two of these are faculty.
Yes.
Three.
Dave's actually serving as a
So,
long-term sub. Katie is currently on board, and Kurt is currently on board.
Is Kurt, we just hired him? Is he gonna-
Yes.
Okay, and so it looks like he's gonna work out well for the robotics, which is
Yes,
nice.
we believe so. He did some robotics work at his former position. It wasn't at the FRC level, so he has a little bit to learn.
Yeah.
We had two great coaches though before with Trish in place. She is super organized, super organized. So that will go well. It will.
Yeah. It's just nice that since we lost the other one, that this guy's gonna work out.
It did.
I had a observation, just that it's not up there, but where Mr. Knobloch recommends people, it usually doesn't give any background about the people, just if they're current teachers or if we're hiring them from outside or anything. So where it usually says brings a great deal of experience, I wonder if the board is interested in more or not so much. We don't want to bother. No, I like to know a little more usually.
first of all, I know that we have a guideline that we try to get a faculty, if at all possible, to do those because we have direct tie in, which I very much support. So often they are faculty members that we are already aware of. Not always because we can't always secure faculty members for these positions. But that is one part of the recommendation. It doesn't tell all the background of everyone, but it does give that tie-in.
If what I'm hearing is that you'd like to see a little bit more meat in there, if that's correct. You just basically want a little bit of their background, because we don't always get a real thick resume. Sometimes it's just a letter of interest.
Well, where usually it says brings a great deal of experience, I would just, or just if they're teachers here, I think first of all, like Gloria says, if they're teachers here, that would be interesting to me just to kind of recognize that. And I actually don't recognize all the names. I mean, we have a lot of staff here, so I don't always pick up, are they a teacher, are they an aide, and so that's just helpful for me to understand staff. And
Not a
so on.
problem. I'll work with Herb and we'll make the we'll put a little more meat in the recommendation.
We've got your for Bonnie and
It would
Or
Chris,
background information, I should say, not the
Fill in.
recommendation, but we'll do at least a little bio blurb somewhere.
Like a sentence or two, just what
What they've
where they're
done maybe in
coming
the
from.
tennis, why they be their tennis coach.
it would be helpful if they were coming from another school or where their experience lies would be a little bit
Not a
also to
problem.
add into that.
We can do that.
That's good. So if there's any further discussion, roll call please.
Essing.
Yes.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
McNutt.
yes,
Armstrong.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. 8.14, leave of absence request, and this is 8.14A, approve the absence request for Jamie Martin, who's an art teacher. She had put in for leave of absence. The recommendation is move to approve the recommendation under action item 8.1.4A
1 year.
for 1 year leave of absence.
Mhm.
Is there a motion to accept the 8.14 leave of absence request?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second.
I'm very glad there's a motion in a second because you already approved 1 year, so
Yes.
that's good news.
You don't have two teachers this way.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Fisher,
Yes.
Essing.
Yes.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 8.15, retirement request. Approved notice to intent for retire Rebecca Litch, English.
Yes. Becky Leisha is near the end of her career, so she's asked for her 3-year notification.
That English.
So, yes, it is.
And move to approve the recommendation under action item 8.15A as presented. Is there a motion?
I move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Knopfinger.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Essing.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
One question, Dr. Is that the 3-year notice or is that a shorter notice?
It's 3 years. It's
3, okay.
Okay. Moving on to
3 years to replace her.
Moving on to 8.2, approve the first reading of Press Plus issue 94 that was discussed in policy committee, and that's in our board book.
Yes, and technically, I think there are usually 2 motions in there. One to actually waive the reading. You really want to do that motion. If you don't, then we're going to sit here and read every policy
Let
out
me
loud.
take a look at that.
Click on the motion.
Okay, the suggested motion, move to approve the first reading of the Press Plus issued as recommended. Wait,
That's for the committee too.
And-
first reading, okay,
Yeah,
the
that's what it is. Okay.
approve the reading of, as presented.
You can always amend the motion to be a double motion.
It's, if you click on this link here, the motion,
Yes.
it's right here. Motion to move to waive the reading of policies and exhibits.
Like this one?
No, down. Yeah, it's just at the very top.
Oh, I must have missed that. Okay, I scratched that other motion. So I'm going to amend it with this motion. Move to waive the reading of the policy and exhibits in issue 94 that was presented in Press Plus issue 94. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the policy and exhibits?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? I would like you to go ahead and read those if you're not on policy committee, because if you do have any other questions, next month we'll probably be going through as a second reading, and then it will be adopted, so.
So are there anything in those cited items that we need to be thinking about before you first vote on?
They're pretty standard, but you can go ahead and look at them and review them. They weren't very
And this was
lengthy.
a pretty small
Yes,
packet,
very
one of
small.
the smalls, yeah, compared to.
I don't, let me look at, okay.
Sometimes there are some significant things, other times they're editorial.
Many of them were 5-year review, and
If you go to the first page of the item that's actually attached, it kind of lays out 5-year review, no changes
Yeah, I
recommended.
saw that.
Minor changes are housekeeping. That always means that it's just like they're either changing some of the notes or minutes, or they just have some grammatical changes within it. The 4 that have substantial changes that you probably need to read are 2-100, 415, 5-120, and 7-1.
That's what I need to know.
Yeah, I try to put that together for the policy committee to help them, because some of these packets are fairly substantial. And that helps kind of lead through it.
Is there a motion to waive the reading of the policies and exhibits? Did we already do that? Okay. Roll call, please.
Essing?
Yes.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
And then
Motion carries. Thank you.
Second motion to approve the first reading.
Okay, moving on to 8.3. We did that.
I can waive the first reading and we have to actually
Oh,
approve it.
okay.
Sorry.
Sorry, I thought it was all in one. Okay, is there a motion to approve the first reading of the Press Plus issues in 94?
So moved.
Motion a second. Roll call, please.
Ward?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Essing?
Yes.
Knopfinger?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 8.3, approve the 2017-18 student handbook changes. Okay, was that a committee that got together for that in the students? Okay. The motion is to approve the changes to the 2017-18 WCHS student handbook as recommended. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion and second? Second. Any further discussion?
Question for you, kind of like Lori's, is there anything of note in here other than general housekeeping? Anything substantial or noteworthy changes in the handbook?
Give me 1 second, I'm getting hit with 2 questions.
Sure.
Who did the second on that? Okay.
I heard a couple of you and I wasn't sure which one it was.
That's why I had to help
Yeah,
to
okay.
make sure we get our minutes right. Okay, noteworthy, I think, yeah, they're mostly highlighted. It's been a while since I've gone through that, because I think the original committee met back in April and May, so it's been a while. I don't remember any massive significant changes. I think most of it was small other things.
Jennifer, did you serve on that committee with the?
No.
I think Brad.
Brad did. I knew there's one board member that sits in on that.
You know, we don't traditionally have big changes to the handbook. We're pretty pleased with our policies the way they are. We just have some tweaks here and there.
So the yellow is add, is that right?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to follow up. I don't have an objection, but I would like to follow up on second page of social probation. At the end of that paragraph, citing what they have done above that put them on probation, said they may attend, that would be extracurricular activities, if they are a participant and directly supervised by a coach or sponsor. Since this is new, I just want to make sure that that works, because it includes out-of-school suspension, care program assignment, which means they obviously need a little help there. 3 truancies or 6 tardies.
See, I can see the bottom 3. I don't think traditionally we usually, if they're out of school on a suspension, I don't think we normally let them attend the activities.
That's why I wondered.
I have a little help back there from Mrs. Davis, because she's just recently out of that.
That was put in place so if a student has an athletic code violation or something where they can still attend when they are directly supervised. So their suspension's over, they're back. So they're serving it for other activities that they're not in, but if they're in a sport, they can only attend if they are directly supervised by a coach. So they have to be an active participant of that sport.
Is that already, that part?
That part's already outlined for an athletic code violation. That part's already outlined.
Okay, and so we've been using it and we know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I just wondered if it were new, how it would work.
Oh, yeah, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but did you see anything else in there that you consider major?
As far as,
Any changes?
oh, in the handbook stuff? No, that was the only thing that was,
You elevated some penalties.
Yes.
in here. Not
Yes.
significantly, but.
right,
elevated.
yes. So it was so if a student is kicked out of a game, we wanted some type of other enforcement to say, then you don't need to be attending any more games, you know, if and we didn't really have anything to cover that in there. So this is to help cover some of that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You know, you weren't planning on responding to any of that.
That's okay.
So appreciate that.
And some cleanup, like the court document, you bring it after you get it instead of before. So, yeah, those made sense.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ward,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Essing.
Yes.
Knopfinger,
Yes.
McNabb,
Yes.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. Moving on to 8.4.
Coach's Code of Ethics, and I can give you a little bit of background on this before you approve it. We put together a committee of 10 coaches, sat down and walked through. Herb already had, Mr. Noblock, sorry, had already put together a coach's handbook. It had a coach's code of ethics in it. We added to that code. We added some language, the first couple paragraphs, for example, which is a little more specific to interaction between coaches and players. And the whole point to all of this was, do the coaches as a whole, can we come together with an agreed upon parameter, set of behaviors that we consider to be acceptable when working with students? And so that was the whole point to this. The coaches went through that, we brought it back to policy committee. Policy committee made a couple of changes. I've since brought it back to the WEA, sat down with Sean Kerr when we talked through the recommended changes, which he was fine with. So we were able to kind of finalize the document. And so this has already been given to the coaches. Now we're at the point where the board approves it and becomes official.